Okay, so it's been a really interesting news week, so I wanted to go over just a few things. First is Community Formation Commission and Santa Barbara City Hall. This was a swerve. You can, people have all kinds of different perspectives on this, but I think it's one thing that's very clear is that City Hall did something that the Community Formation Commission did not want. And as an observer, it looked like a swerve and it looked like they were tone deaf to what really the path they should have gone with, or at least, communication and how they presented it. So CFC works for 13 months on what a civilian review system would look like. It's a commission, lots of time, energy, meetings, lots of investment from the community. It was a very diverse board, people of color, people who you typically don't see on the city's advisory boards. And so they did all this work, and then they come back with all of these recommendations, and they have this great meeting in front of city council a month ago, and then it leads up to this meeting, and it's like a total change, a total shift. Now, city says, no, it's not a shift. The city says, hey, we took most of what you wanted, and we then decided to incorporate it, except we're doing it under the city umbrella. And that's the problem. Nobody likes to hear the term white supremacy. Okay, that connotes a visual and it makes people very, very defensive. So call it whatever you want. You don't like that term, don't call it that. Okay, if you're not going to listen when you hear that term, figure out a term that works for you that you're going to hear. But here's the outcome of that, or here's what the message is. When you take the work of people of color who have worked really hard, and you've asked them to do the work, and you've invested in them in doing the work, and then they present something to you, and then those who are in power, those who have control, those who are part of the system, then take those suggestions and lift them and then put them in a box where you control those, which is the case here, wanting to do it under an existing police and fire commission, and also wanting to make a person working, an employee at City Hall, oversee, be sort of the independent eyes of this. That is what people call white supremacy. Now, it is not whatever you see in your head, whatever people see in their head. No, it's not that. So figure out another term that works for you. But here's the deal. It's the same effect in the sense that the dominant culture, the people in power, are taking something that is created and suggested and was asked of them to do. And then you're taking that and putting it in a box where you're going to manage it. Nobody likes that. That theme transcends everything. Nobody wants to do a bunch of work and have you take it over and say, okay, thank you. Now we're going to do it our way. Even if you have this message of, oh, well, it's mostly what you wanted, which is essentially what they're saying, like, it's mostly what you wanted. So why wouldn't we be able to just sort of do it? It's not what they wanted because, one, they felt swerved, and anyone who knows anything about communication, it doesn't matter what your intent was. If the perception is that they did not feel included, perception is reality. And so that's a mistake. That's a communication mistake. That's a problem that City Hall created, and it blew up in this big meeting, and no one was happy, and there's all kinds of stuff happened at the meeting and after the meeting, and it was just kind of a big mess. So City Hall needs to acknowledge the fact that they did something that was very offensive to the CFC. And the CFC is right in this context that their work was taken and changed and watered down and under the auspices of City Hall, the power system, the power structure. The whole point was they wanted an independent board, not one that is already existing. So there was a compromise. We're going to reseat the board. We're going to have new members. It's going to be a different board. We're going to hire a year-long consultant. The city's going to do this. And so there was some compromise, but it didn't need to be that way. And at the end of the day, okay, all it does is reinforce the fears and the concerns that the members of the CFC had, observers might have too, which is, we can't trust you because we did all this work. We had this nice meeting. People seem to get along. Obviously, there were people, public comment, who were not happy at that time. but they seem to come out of it with sort of a, here's a direction that we're going. And then there's meeting, and the chair of the CFC, Gabe Escobedo, walks up to there and says, basically that he felt like he misled the CFC because he told them something wasn't going to happen, and it did happen. So that's a problem. Don't do that. Okay. If you don't want to call it white supremacy, call it hijacking the work of people of color who invested in some change, and you took it over and sort of changed it. So now I know there's a whole other city perspective, right? They feel like, hey, this is pretty much what you wanted. Okay, I get it. I'm not saying you are 100% wrong in this situation. But what I am saying is that you have to acknowledge that what you did was not cool from the CFC's perspective. And I think some work needs to be done there. The council, by the way, kind of expressed their frustration, but in the end went with this compromise proposal. I don't know why the city staff didn't present options. So we saw this with Chick-Fil-A, which is another issue that was this week on the council. Here's an option. Here's option A. Here's option B. Here's option C. But instead, it comes in this here's what we're going to do. Here's the staff recommendation. And you present that to the council. So this is a communication issue. This is an issue where people did not feel as though they were treated with fairness, and it all blew up. So that's just a really interesting thing that happened, and we see how City Hall kind of changes its way and comes out of this. There was the election this week, and everyone was talking about a couple of contests. Really, the only ones that were supposedly competitive were the sheriff's race and then the superintendent for County Office of Education. So I just want to talk about the County Office of Education and also Republicans. Okay. So there was a candidate who got national attention appearing on Fox News, and had a YouTube video that went viral, whatever that means anymore. I don't know what the definition of viral is. 14,000 viral is a million viral, whatever. A lot of people outside of Santa Barbara saw her video. Okay, here's the deal. It doesn't matter. Okay, does not matter. What matters is who's registered to vote in Santa Barbara County, and the Democrats have the advantage. Okay, almost, what is it, 18% registered advantage. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, Republicans can't win. That's what that means. Okay, a Republican who talks to Republicans and expects to win, a conservative, no party preference, because you don't want to be seen as a Republican even though you are, they can't win, any countywide seat, because there's not enough people like you who vote. It's not like Republicans are bad and Democrats are good. It's just a system of math and numbers. If you don't have enough people who are going to, one, be in the pool for you to vote, how do you expect that you're going to overtake other people who have more people registered to vote on their side? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know what's up with these elected officials who in their head think, I'm the anointed one. I'm the one who's going to do it. There's a special purpose for me. I'm the one who's going to tip the scales. That does not exist in politics. If you want to feel that way as you approach the world, great confidence, you want to be ambitious, do your thing, perfect. Math or politics is about math. So if you're a Republican, you can't talk to just your base. You cannot. You have to appeal to people who are moderates and disgruntled Democrats, or sort of tap into some message that people think they can get behind and overlook your party perspective. But you can't be a divisive candidate. You cannot be the kind of candidate who is like, you're the bad person and we're the good people. That does not work. That's not a crossover candidate. The Democrats, they don't have to worry about that. All the Democrats have to do is get Democrats to vote, because there's more of them. And it doesn't matter. You think, oh, they're talking about this nationally on Fox News, so I'm going to talk about that. Great. Not going to work in Santa Barbara County. It is not. So Republicans, you guys need to regroup. You need to figure out a way to raise, grow, cultivate some new candidates who are going to appeal to the mainstream. the moderate, the middle, and pull Democrats over to you. That is the key, because if you just talk to people in your echo chamber who agree with you and Democrats do the same, the Democrats are going to win every time. Okay. You need a crossover candidate. The numbers are not on your side. You need someone like Andrew Firestone, who I don't know if he's ever going to run, but that's a crossover candidate for the Republican Party because he's got name recognition. People, even though he's conservative, people, liberals, Democrats, they like him, okay? Because he was on television and because he's in the community and they see him around and he does nice things. And there's not this like inherent sort of rage that comes up when they think of him like other conservative candidates. So that simple thing. Susan Salcido, won, and of course she won. Everyone knew she was going to win, barring some big thing. It's like, oh, well, Donald Trump won. Well, Donald Trump's on television for 30 years and was super famous and super prominent. And he's got a way of talking that appeals to a lot of people. And no one really knew anything about him, in any serious way until after he got elected. So of course he was going to do really well and in that case win. But we don't have any Donald Trumps here. Okay, that's not going to happen. You're not going to do it just because you have a lot of views on one of your YouTube videos. And that's not to be disparaging or an insult. It's just advice to conservatives. Start planning now. Find a candidate who's a crossover candidate, who is likable, who, might have a shot. And Andrew Firestone's probably that person if he ever wants to run. Chick-fil-A. So not too long ago, everyone was like, you got to close down Chick-fil-A, you got to get rid of their drive-through. City of Santa Barbara says, hey, we're going to take away your drive-through because that's a legal non-conforming use because we don't allow new drive-throughs anymore. Lots of people upset. Cars used to back out in the street. Well, not anymore. So Chick-fil-A got in there. The city hall lit a fire to them. They made all these changes. They hired security. And now you don't see it at all much. And now everyone's happy with Chick-fil-A. And they have their drive-through. They're going to have more people process there, another lane. And then the new Chick-fil-A is going to open one day out in Molina. And then, all will be better. But it was interesting to see the big shift that everybody had. Chick-fil-A, the city of Santa Barbara. And now it's less of an issue. Councilwoman Kristen Sneddon, 3 months ago said, oh, they're too big. They've outgrown their space. And now I guess they haven't. So they're still going to be the zebra story. Maybe some of you read it. This was like, for some reason, resonated with a whole bunch of people. The zebra on West Camino Cielo. I wrote a story about it. This bike rider's perspective of coming up on the zebra and feeling threatened, scared. He had some experience with them. Zebras can be aggressive, according to him. And so he figured out a way, worked with some cars, got by the zebra. Zebra came after him, zebra fell. So anyway, got some emails and stuff from people saying, oh, you made the zebra look like the bad person. And this bike rider was like the hero. It's like, here's journalism, okay? Here's how it works. A person talks about their experience with the zebra, you write about their experience with the zebra. Okay, you don't have a perspective on whether he should have been bike riding up there, whether he was a local or not, whether he should have tried to run past the zebra. Like, those are all judgments you can make as readers. Great. But as a reporter, you just talk to the person. What was your experience like? What happened? What did you think when you saw the zebra? Can you believe there's a zebra out there? Wow. Apparently lots of people see the zebra and know of the zebra, and the zebra's seen from time to time. That's odd. If I saw a zebra, I'd be like, holy cow, what's the zebra doing here? So anyway, that was that story, and it is what it is. But just remember, journalists they have to talk to everybody. Okay? They have to do their best to be fair. There's really no such thing as objectivity because everybody has perspectives, but we have to be fair, and we have to represent the perspectives of everybody, not just people who we agree with, or not just the easy people, the people that are easy to talk to, the squeaky wheels. Journalists got to work harder to talk to more people, and that's a process. We're always trying to get better. with that. Okay. And last thing, I introduced a new podcast, which is me and Geordie Armstrong from Santa Barbara City College. She's a professor, geography professor, and we're about the same age. We like 90s music. We like Alanis Morissette. We have similar experiences. So we're doing this somewhat regular, going for monthly podcast where we talk about stuff that we have in common and come at it from our various perspectives. So you might have seen that. It actually doing really well. Please check it out. Keep watching. And just as a reminder, I'm trying to grow this podcast, provide original content. Please subscribe. Please take a moment to just hit the subscribe button, and you'll get all this stuff before you see it anywhere else. Right? I have distribution with other outlets, and so you'll eventually see it, but you see it earlier. You see it first right here on the YouTube channel. So please take a moment to subscribe. Lots, hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people will watch an episode, but they don't all of them subscribe. Okay, just they know to look for it. They know it comes up in recommendations. It's on their YouTube. It helps me reach more diverse audience if you hit subscribe and turn on your notifications so you get it immediately. All right, so that's pretty much it. I just wanted to sort of talk to you a little bit about kind of the interesting, crazy week that we had. So take care.